Well, we are kind of in the middle of the season of summer where being inside is boring and being outside is just brutal with the heat. We're the only things that really get us to go outside is some kind of water, like a pool or a lake or the enticing fire that lights off a firework. Make sure that all fingers are kept safe Saturday, would you? Since summer is a good time to try and chill, we thought we would have some fun with the lessons and take you back to when you were just a kid. We are going to take those books every kid had and were read over and over and over by or to you for years. We are going to look at none other than a few of Dr. Seuss's books and movies and see if we can find some deeper theological concepts through those childhood memories. Before we break down our first book, we need to look at the author himself. Theodore Suess Geisel, who later changed to Dr. Seuss, was born in Springfield, Massachusetts on March 2nd, 1904. He grew up in the Lutheran Church with a devout Christian mom. Even though Dr. Seuss's writings often grapple with moral issues that align closely with Christian principles, Seuss maintained a degree of ambivalence towards organized religion in his own personal life. He actually expressed skepticism about the dogma that accompanies traditional faith. Critics and fans have often debated if Dr. Seuss's works can actually be termed Christian or not. The exploration of his works frequently leads to interpretation, where some see blatant references to Christian morals, while others read them as universal life lessons. So as we break down the stories of Dr. Seuss this month, we are not worrying about Dr. Seuss's belief system. We are breaking down parts of the story to see if we can see any biblical values to them. And since we are taking the entire month to do this, it's probably a pretty good idea that we'll find a few. So, this month, as we look at the stories from our childhood, we have chosen two that every one of you, I am sure, have heard of to open and close the month. And two of Dr. Seuss's a little bit more unknown stories. Now, you might be thinking there are 5 weeks in this month, and that is only 4 lessons. First, I would like to say, pretty nice catchy, y'all. And second, with Radical Faith next week, we are going to take Wednesday for a game night, and I'll give a different type of lesson on Saturday morning. Now that you're all up to speed, let's get into our first story. Horton Hears a Who. Now, I'll be honest, my memory of the book was overshadowed by the movie released in 2008 with the voices of Jim Carrey and Steve Carell. But the parts we will be using are both in the book as well as in the movie. In Horton Hears a Who, there are 2 true biblical values that I see that stand out the most in the story. The first is seeing the worth or the value in all those God has created. And the second is huge. It is faith itself. The story starts with Horton cruising through the jungle when he comes to the watering hole. I tell you, let's hear how Dr. Seuss described it. On the 5th of May in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the days, in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked toward the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp. as if some tiny person were calling for help. "I'll help you," said Horton, "but who are you? Where?" We have talked a lot about how God speaks to us all the time. And if we are truly listening, and we could use that in this instance. But I want to move away from that obvious illustration and look at, do we hear the cries and the value of the voice of those around us, or even out in the world where we don't see? While Horton is really in his own world, right, just messing around, splashing and cooling off in the pool, kind of like y'all may be doing a lot this summer, swimming around in the pool. When Horton hears something, here is what I love in the story. Horton isn't even sure if he heard anything or not. Horton doesn't just go back to playing. He takes time to listen closer. Proverbs 1:5 says this: "Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance." And Ecclesiastes 3:7 says, "A time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak." These verses show the importance of taking a moment. If you think you hear a cry or a want, or you're not sure about it, as Vanilla Ice would say, stop, collaborate, and listen. Another thing that stands out to me is that Horton hears the call to help, and he does not say no. He does not ignore. He, without a visual, feels led to help. In Proverbs 21:13 we hear, "Whoever shuts their ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out and not be heard." I think we lose sight of this in the world today, where we feel connected to others through our devices. But so many times we are even more disconnected. Even though we see every post someone puts out, we may see 1,000 positive posts, get a thumbs up, and go on. Then there is the one post of hurt, struggle, or cry for help. And all we do is either scroll past or give a crying face emoji and move on. Is that truly hearing somebody's plea? Or even worse, or our inaction makes the person asking for help to feel alone, or even worse. But listen, when the shoe is on the other foot and an experience happens to you that puts you in a spiral and you reach out, if you refuse to reach out before to somebody else, are you truly expecting those others to help you? Most times your plea will fall on deaf ears, as you gave your deaf ear to them. One of the quotes that became huge in the tagline for Horton is the phrase, "A person is a person no matter how small." I want to take this quote one step further. When you are struggling, hurt, panicked, or in fear, when people aren't helping, we can feel small and insignificant. These are the moments we truly want to and maybe need to be heard. Are you truly listening? Are you moved to action? Not an emoji, but true action of support and love. What if the cry comes from someone you may not know? Should our response as a Christian be any different? Your friend is a precious child of God who you love. But wait, the person out there is also a precious child of God who we are called to love. Psalms 24:1. "The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. If we are called to love God and His creation, why aren't we doing all we can for God's creation when that cry is given? Now, I said there were two huge concepts covered in the story of Horton. I want to hit the second by reading a conversation between Horton and Kangaroo. Horton! Sorry, there was a spec, and they called up for help, and I was, the spec called out for help! That's terrible. Well, not the spec. I mean, that's ridiculous. It was you thought I'd been, no, the spec can't call out for help. Come on, get real. No, there's a tiny person on the spec and needs my help. Absurd. There aren't people that small. Whoa, maybe they aren't small. Maybe we're big. Horton! Horton, no, really. Think about it. What if this someone was out there looking down on the world right now? And to them, we are the specks. And then maybe someone else will come along and say, oh, there can't be people that small. And the first guy would say, are you calling me a liar? And the second guy would say, if the shoe fits, wear it. And now the fists are flying, and the first guy picks up a brick, and all you want to zip up a pouch for this next part. All right, fat boy, you want some of this? Horton, what? There is something on that spec. There is nothing on that spec. But I heard. Did you really? Really? Oh my. Then how come I don't hear anything? Well, really, because I verified, I really tried. I can find somebody who believes what I am saying. You will do nothing of the sort. You will not breathe a word of this lie to anyone else, especially the children. I don't want you poisoning their minds with this nonsense. Our community has standards, Horton. If you want to remain a part of that, I recommend you follow them. Have a nice day. All right, then. I'll take that under advisement. Certainly appreciate your input. I don't understand. I know I heard you. I was just clear as the nose on my face. That's it. Maybe you can't hear me. Of course, your ears must be tiny. I need to speak up. Hello? Horton gets caught by Kangaroo, who in today's times would probably be known more as a Karen, the Kangaroo. She sees things through a narrow-minded scope and believes her beliefs are true and they trump yours. In the dialogue between Kangaroo, and Horton, two things said really stand out to me. The first one comes from Horton in response to Kangaroo tort of there are not people that small, Horton says. No, really, I think about it. What if there is someone way out there looking down on our world right now, and to them we're the specks? When I hear this, I get the visual in my head of God in heaven, looking down on earth. How do we look to God? I mean, God sees all in every moment. Is that like a TV with the picture in picture in picture in picture in picture? And well, get the point of 8.3 billion people on earth, picture in pictures? Are we just the specks in His vision? But here's what I know. When we cry out to God, He hears us. And God doesn't ignore us. Now, there are the Kangaroo and the Wickersham brothers who are going to do everything they can to disprove or deny God and your beliefs in Him. And that goes into the next quote. But this one came from Kangaroo herself. And we saw it in the video. If you can't see hear, or feel something, it doesn't exist. And believing in tiny imaginary people is not something we do. Not tolerate here in the jungle of Newell. We see in this statement that Karen the kangaroo is missing something. That Horton, even though he is not 100% sure about it, he has a true belief that there is someone existing on that spec. The comment that kangaroo shows is a true lack of faith. Actually, the definition of faith is believing in everything she says doesn't exist. Right? This is a concrete idealism of what we see and what we believe, and totally contradictory to everything we hold true in our beliefs. Faith is believing in something we don't see. Do we see love? But we feel it. Right? Very few hear, see, or touch, or are touched in a physical sense by God. But faith in God is taking a huge leap of trust in the God of creation. How we became broken, and God came up with the ultimate plan to save us by sending His Son to take away our transgressions, to allow us to live for eternity with Him. I think Horton Here's a Who shows us too that no matter in our belief system, we will face doubters and those who will condemn us for our faith. But let me give you some reassurance, and we can find this in your Bibles in Romans 8:18 through 25. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning, as in the pains of childbirth, right up to the present time. Not only so, but ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for our adoption to sonship, S-O-N-ship, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we were saved. But hope that is seen is no hope at all. Who hopes for what they already have? But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently. Are you willing to wait? Are you willing to listen? And when the time comes, are you willing to act? We may feel like a speck at times, but to God, you are a person, no matter how small. Do you see His creation through the eyes of the Lord? Will you have full faith to answer the call of His children? Because there could come a day when you are the one crying out. Don't let your voice go unheard or unnoticed. Hello!